.co.nz. Morning to you, Vincent.
Good morning, Wammo. How are you?
Very good, thanks. And
Beautiful
today,
morning too, isn't it?
It's a gorgeous morning in Auckland City. Nice day to be up and rising. I was out walking around the neighbourhood before 6 o'clock this morning.
Ah, you lucky man.
No one else was, but I was there and seeing the sun come up. It was really, really nice.
That's gorgeous. Same around the rest of the country? I haven't looked.
Yeah, cloudy. Yeah, mostly fine. Yeah, it's pretty good. Nice and calm.
On its way.
But thinking about Auckland, though, and now that the election is out of the way and the hubbub with all of that, the super city is starting to settle in. Are Auckland issues still on the boil?
They are on the boil, but they're not on the mainstream agenda. And I was amazed that the election, Auckland didn't exist in the election. It was all about John Key and the other guy whose name I've already forgotten. And
yeah.
The issues, were about asset sales and so forth. But Auckland is in a very strange and unique position. And, one of the things that's happening with Auckland is, and perhaps the rest of the country may hate to hear this, but Aucklanders are falling back in love with their city. There seems to be a resurgence, perhaps there never was, maybe it's the first time, but Aucklanders are loving Auckland. And there's quite a lot of excitement, Wammo, around the development of the CBD area as the hub of something quite special in Asia Pacific.
And the stuff that's been happening on the waterfront really has been the catalyst for that, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. The opening up of the Wynyard Wharf in particular is giving people, I think, a spur to imagine what could be down there. And such a central, iconic part of the city could actually be a testament to what the city is all about. And one of the exciting things that I'm involved in is helping plan the Wynyard area as a kind of a focus of high-tech, high creative, high intellectual property, kind of knowledge economy stuff, whether it's a technology park or arts festivals or business creative festivals. That area is becoming, I don't know, it's almost like a catalyst for thinking about what Auckland could be.
Or it could be, yeah. So are you part of some kind of working group?
Just part of a little ginger group that's thinking about it. If we had a use for that space in terms of sort of festivals and connecting with business and technology, what would we do down there? I'm part of that. But there was a talk given down there this week by Sir Peter Gluckman, who's the chief scientist in the Prime Minister's office, and he was reiterating how important it is that what goes down there is not more accountants, lawyers and corporates, but actually technology, universities, young people, entrepreneurs. One of the cool things that's down there is a marine, obviously it's a huge marine area, and marine is itself a big industry in Auckland, and we should retain some of that kind of industrial heart. Engineering has played a big part in New Zealand's history, and we need more of it. And
it seems to be a big earner, the whole marine thing as well, building boats and whatnot.
It is indeed. It is indeed. But what I was reflecting on, Wammo, is a couple of thoughts. One is, at the same time as Aucklanders are kind of starting to fall in love with their city, and summer will help with that. I don't know if the rest of the country are getting it, and you probably travel around the country more than I do, but I grew up in Wellington with a real resentment of Auckland, and when I do travel a bit further afield, I get the sense that the Jaffa effect is still alive and well in the rest of the country, and it may be so bold as to say, as someone from Upper Hutt who is now a converted Aucklander, we need to love this city because it actually is unlocking the potential for the rest of the country. Now, I don't mean that just in in the sense that so many people live here, but actually, we can't rely on agriculture as our only business in New Zealand. And Auckland is host to most of the manufacturing, most of the creative industries, and most of the knowledge-intensive industries.
So in saying that, how would you imagine that the rest of New Zealand show their love for Auckland?
Well, I think at a cultural level, we might need to get over this, kind of silly resentment of Aucklanders and actually, culturally come and visit the place, enjoy dealing with the place, stop giving us such a hard time. We're not that bad, and actually, we quite like the rest of the country.
Yeah.
So I think there's a kind of a cultural thing, but more than that, Auckland does not get its share of tax-funded government spending activity around transport, infrastructure, education, health, housing. We actually, as a city, we pay more than we receive. And there might be an argument to say, well, that's a bit rich given that you also take more pollution, use more energy and so forth. But the reality is that this city is really outside of the agricultural sector. This is the engine of New Zealand. And investing appropriately in here with infrastructure, with education, incentives, getting the planning right, will actually reap rewards for the rest of the country.
Do you think that politics gets too much in the way?
When they set up, yes, I do. When they set up the old structure back in the 80s of the 5 cities with the Auckland Regional Authority, and then which subsequently became the Auckland Regional Council, it was pretty much created, the suspicion was by Bill Birch, because he was afraid of creating a rival to Wellington in terms of, government.
Yeah.
And yes, I do. I think there's a huge amount of politics that's happening now, particularly around parties. So you have Len Brown, who is effectively like a Labour mayor, and John Key, who's a national PM.
He's a Labour mayor living in a national city, by the looks of things. Isn't he? Yeah. Yeah,
it's ironic. Well, we're going to get one of those two-tier systems, a bit like Australia has its federal and state governments, and they usually are. When you have a Labour state, you'll have a coalition government. At the federal level. So we may end up having this sort of yin-yang thing going on with Auckland versus Wellington.
Yeah.
But I think there's another thing, Wammo, and that is that we haven't got the investment structure right in Auckland at lots of levels. And you take, for instance, the way our port competes with Tauranga. There was an interesting piece in the Herald this week about why don't we merge those two ports, because in fact what's happening is international firms are playing one port off against each other. So Maersk, which is the big shipping firm, shifted its business from Tauranga to Auckland a few years ago, and now it's shifted it back to Tauranga and is playing the two off against each other. Now you might say that's healthy competition, but actually thinking about Auckland and the kind of North Island as a region, you might think, well, actually, from an infrastructure point of view, it's better to have Tauranga developed and let Auckland, let the Auckland waterfront develop more as a, rather than an industrial port.
Yeah, exactly.
It's better for it to be a tourist facility.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, but I don't know the answer to that. But we're not having that discussion. And there are lots of other things. I was just reading the other day about the success of Singapore has. The sale of these state assets, Wammo, is so short-sighted in the sense that the money that's being invested is being invested into non-productive assets, like bridges and roads and things. Whereas if we did it smarter, we might do it like Singapore, where there is a fund created and the government assets are managed by a fund which will generate return on investment. And you just think, particularly around Auckland stuff, where's that thinking? Who's managing and developing the Auckland infrastructure for the future with that's tapping into the private sector with public-private
There's no one at the helm.
Well, I don't know. I mean, perhaps I don't know enough about it, but I was really struck in the election at how invisible Auckland was, and actually how invisible Auckland is in the national debate.
Yeah.
And maybe it's about time we started it.
And you end up with silly slogans after the election like City Rail Loop over my dead body and stuff like that. But anyway.
Yeah, what's that about? I mean, come on, let's grow this place. It could actually be the best Asia-Pacific city to live in, with an awesome infrastructure, a very vibrant business and cultural centre. I mean, it could be the most amazing creative hub for Asia-Pacific.
Indeed.
And I guess, putting up my hand, Wammo, to say, let's get this party started.
Good. I'm there with you. Hands up. Thanks very much, Vincent.
Thanks very much.
Vincent Heeringa over at idealogue.co.nz. Also V Heeringa on Twitter as well.